Another one of those movies where I watched it and I should give it a proper review. The problem is there isn't that much to talk about, but I'm going to try my hardest, okay? Which in some ways is also the movie's biggest problem. Anyways, Along for the Ride is one of those movies that if I had to describe what it feels like to watch it, I guess it would be to stop and smell the roses. I don't know, since it's a pretty mellow film where not that much happens, but that doesn't mean nothing happens. A character goes to a new location for the summer to have new experiences, but nothing really, that exciting. Just make new friends, find romance, connect with family, and if that isn't your type of movie where nothing that exciting happens, I guess you wouldn't enjoy this film. And if you do, that depends whether or not you care enough about the main character to see her journey of growing up, I guess. The movie is a Netflix original film, because of course it is, directed and written for the screen by Sofia Alvarez in her directorial debut, but she has done writing for Netflix prior, because she did because she wrote the first two To All the Boys I Loved Before films, which I haven't seen, and I don't care to. But I heard they were alright, at least compared to the other teen rom-com movies on Netflix, like The Kissing Booth as one example. Granted, the Netflix original film I saw before this was Marmaduke, which I thought was a void of joy. So, I was pretty out before I watched this movie, so yes, by default this movie is a little better. I'll say this, it's not bad for a directorial debut. Granted, it's pretty obvious given the location and story in the film, but I think I could make it myself. So it's the case of, yeah, this would be a good directorial debut, but I wouldn't say, wow, that's an amazing film you made. You don't tell me you never directed before. In terms of, that's what I mean by that. So, with this added to the list of teen rom-coms on Netflix, I'll ask the question, what's the movie about? Well, the movie is about the smart but lonely Auden, played by Emma Passero, who had just graduated high school, and the summer before she goes off to college, she decides to go to the beach town Colby, I forget what state they said this was in, where her father Robert, played by Dermot Mulroney, and stepmom Heidi, played by Kate Bosworth, live, so she can work at her store, hopefully connect with her father, and maybe even find herself. When things aren't as gleeful as she hopes they'd be at first, she does come across a learner named Eli, played by Belmont Cameli, as the two get along, and he offers to help her do all the things they never did as a kid, or at least she never did as a kid. The whole Eli part of the story would be the description you get when you look up the movie, where it's one part of three things Auden does in the story, which is the worst part of the movie, honestly, in my opinion. The other two parts of the film are the family drama, where Robert focuses all his time on writing his book and ignore Heidi as she has to take care of the newborn baby all the time. And the other part of the film is Auden finding new friends who work at her stepmom's store, which was the only part of the movie I honestly liked. Yeah, the movie opens by showing how Auden awkwardly gets along with people, how she wants to be part of things despite not seeing it the same way her peers do. I think they say she's on the spectrum. I don't remember for sure. I'm not going to go in depth about this, but I can say I can honestly relate to this a little bit. So, going to a new town, she wants to make new friends, real friends for a fresh start, but finds herself the same person she's always been. So, the three boys, who are all best friends themselves, decide to help her out, invite her along for the ride. Did my lights just go out? Sorry, ignore that. Where was I? Yeah. So she forms an honest friendship with them. Nothing that stupid happens, but it's likable and believable. I don't know if I call the film the most believable where it's grounded in real life, but most of these characters talk like, characters and not real people, or at least that's what I get from them with the way they talk about things sometimes, especially with the romance plot. Eli has a tragedy in his past that he doesn't like to share, but he isolates himself from others in town because of it. A town where everyone knows everyone. So, Auden learns about Eli, but when she confronts him about it, she honestly just assumes stuff she has no right to assume about him. Like, she says to him, it's not your fault, or, you're forcing me to become this person. I don't remember for sure, that's how she says it. But when she wanted to have new experiences, he clearly doesn't... But she's the one who wanted to, but she's the one who wanted to have new experiences, and it's like, this is what you're doing. Like, you asked for this. He clearly doesn't like to be a pity case, so she just assumes a ton of stuff that, like, oh, you don't like yourself because of this moment that like, she just assumes a ton of stuff about this guy when it's, like, pretty clear you have no right to assume that. And just because they hook up once, I'm sorry, they don't have romantic chemistry. And also, if the main premise of the film is them doing whatever she never did as a kid, they trespass and break into a lighthouse, running with shopping carts in a store, or have a good food fight, or have a food fight at a party. That's it. It's lame, boring, and uninteresting. Then you got the family plot where Auden leaves her mother, played by Annie McDowell, who often made her feel like she always has to do her best, but Auden's mother shows she is a compassionate person later in the film. The father, on the other hand, he doesn't earn forgiveness so easily. Oh no, he does earn forgiveness so easily, my mistake. He ignores his wife, busy with her newborn child 24/7, and doesn't even take a break for her the one day she asks, so he can write his book, which he only ever gives on the time to talk, just so she can read his draft. And by the end of the film, he never apologizes for this, for doing this, at least not on camera, and him getting Heidi's forgiveness is off screen, so how am I supposed to care? I don't know what level of sympathy or forgiveness I'm supposed to read off of him. The movie shows this unhealthy relationship and it is fixed by the end, but it isn't earned. I don't know how they earned it. The only part of the movie I liked was the friendship plot, and with the final shot of the film, I wish that was the movie. Get rid of the romance plot and give Eli's backstory to one of the friends or something. And from what I looked up, the book of the same name by Sarah Dessen, this movie is based on, because of course this is based on a book, isn't even a faithful adaptation. So honestly, after I watched it, I thought it was alright, but now thinking about it the next day, it's not a good movie. It's an alright film, I guess, where if you want to watch something cozy and has 10 different establishing shots of the beach, but different times of day and the weather, and with the movie being just about character growth, I can get why you would like this. But for me, I wasn't bored or angry afterwards, but I was left feeling unimpressed. The characters are passable, and the worst parts of the movie aren't awful, but they aren't good. This movie is okay at best. It's just okay. I wouldn't watch it again. I would like to see this cast in a better movie. No one acted terribly. I liked some of the characters, but it's not well written enough for me to say this was a good movie, honestly. It's well made, well acted, but that's something I want to be part of the ride of again anytime soon. I'm sorry. I give Along for the Ride a 5 out of 10.